Welcome to year 2 of Word Study at ACS. We are starting this out this year looking at Kit 2. Today I'm going to preview Theme A, which is the trigraph IGH. As you can see on this slide, this is part 2 about the trigraph IGH because last year we worked with it a little bit in another kit. To begin, the kit we looked at last year, if you'd like to review that with your students, was Kit 1 Theme E. And later on in this video, I'll talk to you about how that kit looked, and you can do some reminders with your kids. First of all, the big ideas in this theme are that the trigraph IGH has just 2 functions in English orthography. It can represent either the long I vowel glide phoneme or the long A vowel glide phoneme. While few spellings use this trigraph, words that do contain it are frequently used. In preparing for this theme, it's important that you're cautious using the terms long and short. Kids can confuse those with, it could be the long and short sound, it could be the length of the word, those types of things. Instead, it's better for us to try to be as orthographically precise as we can. So using terms that our students are fairly familiar with, like grapheme and digraph and trigraph, are going to be more clear to them as they continue this journey into spelling. From a pronunciation standpoint, and this, Melvin goes into much detail into this in his kit, and I put that little pink sign up there. Pages 4 to 8 gives a lot of information about the difference between phonetic or phonological. There are video tutorials and even, I think, a whole separate disc that you can watch on this information. Of course, our goal this year is to get some of this under our belt, and we can dig deeper as you stand on the spiral in your year band. But if you're interested and if you have time, do give those a look. Just to review, and I would start with this with my kids if I were you, look at IGH when it is making the long I sound. There is a podcast on this subject, and it might be a really good review. I just dabbled with it. I'm not sure if it's kid-friendly, but it's on page 7 on the interactive disc for Kit A. Also on the disk, as well as on the server, I've gone ahead and made copies of some of the visuals you see here, so you can drag those out and get those printed out for your class. This is what's called a matrix. We worked with this last year, and starting off in your review right with a matrix will give kids an opportunity to show you, demonstrate what they can do with a matrix. It'd be a lovely little formal assessment to see who knows how to work one of these. And for your new students, very simple to use. It works from left to right, and you can do some one-on-one coaching with those kids who have never seen one. So I would start with looking at IGH making the long I sound. All of these words are words that kids know, and for many of the upper grades, they can already spell them. It's just the investigation of how these all work together to formulate deeper spellings. So you can practice spelling these words out, which is the slow spelling that we do with the pauses and the plus signs, and the word is rewritten as. You can also practice, like I said, working with this matrix. You can also have them construct word webs based on the bases. And so the words that are connected here, they can add, like for example, night, K-N-I-G-H-T, they can also put those together into a web where they go off and create and list all the words that come from the word night. There are examples of word webs which will be hanging in the new upper level conference room if you've never seen one, or of course talk to your word study rep or myself and I can help you with that. And your kids can probably show you because we did some word webbing last year. Following your review, I'd transition into this theme in particular by examining all the ways we can form long A in English spelling. And as you'll notice on this little visual down here, remember that the slash marks indicate sound, and the sound inside the slash marks here is the APA sound. I've gone ahead and put the other sound, the one that we're more familiar with. It just helps me remember what I'm trying to say in that sound. And then inside the brackets are the actual letters that are written. And so you can see that there's many, many different ways for us to write a long A sound, and there's some rules about when and where positionally those letter combinations would show up. Our focus in this theme, of course, is IGH. Just to go back to something we've talked a lot about, but is still probably, I think, the most important transition for us as a school, is getting away from the so-called alphabetic principle where there is letter-sound correspondence. If we say to our kids that long A is written a certain way, then we're immediately taking them written a certain way and only one way. We're immediately removing for them these options. What we want them to do is to think about the sound, think about the possibilities, of course, think about the meaning, but also figure out which one of these possibilities might work. But we want them to know there's more than one. So we can always say things like, sometimes, or you might find that the long A sound can be represented by the spelling, the trigraph IGH, when it is preceded by a vowel, which is what this whole theme is about. But we want to leave that option there so that kids don't think that it is only one way ever. To launch this theme, you could start out talking about what they already know. And hopefully they already know that when the trigraph IGH is preceded by a consonant letter, again, maybe going over consonants and vowels here is a good idea. Remember the vowel hand. It represents the long I sound. Some examples: light, night, and tight. However, today we're going to learn how the trigraph IGH can represent a long A sound if it is preceded by a vowel letter. There's another little matrix there that they can play with and build some of these words. Again, practice spelling out, lots and lots of work with the oral spelling. There's some video tutorials about how to do that, or any of us can show you if you're new. Work with the matrix and make some word webs. Examining the base straight. When you're ready and you feel like your kids want to go a little bit deeper, using this word as a jumping off point to begin working with some of the etymological aspects of spelling that we're teaching kids. Straight has some historical backgrounds to it that are fascinating, where it comes from, why it's spelled the way it is. Also, you can work with some homophones. Our kids last year did a lot of work with the homophone principle, and if you don't know what that is, ask someone. I've also got it listed upstairs. Basically, where there is distinct difference in meaning, English spelling will make sure there's a distinct difference in spelling. But they always try to, if it's a long A sound, it's going to be one of those options you saw before. So the pieces of the puzzle, again, fit together if you just stand back and look at it as a whole. The little orange stickers that I have on here are just little reminders. Also, I refer back to Melvin's theme. Again, these are quite large this time because of the interactive capabilities. Lots and lots to dig into. So I've referenced the pages if you want to go specifically for that. There's some little tidbits that you could teach about straight. Again, this is the information that kids love to chew on and really get them excited about spelling. The alternate spellings of straight, that at one point historically it was spelled S-T-R-E-I-G-H-T. And if our English language had retained that spelling, it might be easier to not get the two homophones confused. You can investigate some well-known phrases like straight-laced and straight-jacket and why those are spelled differently based on their meanings. Another phrase, in dire straits, and how that's linked to the financial sort of meaning behind having financial difficulty or being in a tight and narrow spot. You can also jump off into some geographical kinds of investigations and look at the words in that form, like the Strait of Gibraltar, and how it's a narrow passage of water connecting the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. Maybe there's other straits, I don't even know, but kids will love these investigations. And this year, because our pace is a little bit slower for certainly grades 2 and 3, I think, everybody really, because we've built these in differently at the quarters, spending the time in some of these deep and thoughtful ways to look at English spelling might be fun for your kids. Another word that you can investigate is the base word weigh, to lift or find the weight of. Again, we always want to give meaning with words because that's one of the first places we go is what does it mean. Spelling this out would be a good exercise, as well as finding all the derivations and compound words. You can do that from this matrix, and again, it's on the server if you want to print it out and give your students the task of building words. If you have a word study notebook, this is a great exercise. Just have them glue it right in and build those words across and find out the meanings, practicing their word sums and spelling out. The 8 family has some unexpected spellings. This is a little more complex. However, I think a lot of our kids could take this on based on where we left them last year. Knowing what we expect about English spelling, we have some assumptions that we can make about the way words are built, and 8 often doesn't follow our expectations. Examining why can be really exciting for kids. And pretty much what you'll find out is the words 18, eighth, and 80 don't follow our expectations, where we would expect there to be a double T added based on what we already know about words. Some of the reasons as to why that T got dropped out, kids might be able to hypothesize about and find other examples of in their etymological dictionaries or online. But the pattern here is one that's really interesting in a word that they're often spelling as well as they know really well. There's some more things in Melvin's theme that I've just kind of left the little page numbers for. Again, it's just more work with this idea of vowel plus IGH will give you the A, long A sound. You can work with the word height, neighbor, and hi-ho, which is an interesting little phrase that kids might enjoy examining. Those are all on page 11 in the theme and give you a little bit of a starting place. This is going to be a great year for word study. We have a lot of things in place and we're just layering on sort of the second level with our students. Remember, your goal by watching these videos and by prepping all these themes is as much for your own learning of real spelling and getting some background for yourself as it is for giving kids information. We're on a long journey with this work and it's just the beginning. So keep your head up. Thanks.